Once again, you're listening to the Entrepreneurial Web. I'm your host, Jeremiah Fox, here with my guest, Damon Johnson. So, Damon, you were on Tea with Gary Vee the other day, correct?
Yes.
And you also have you did a seminar or something with him previously, right? You actually met him. I've actually never met him. I've been in close proximity for many, many years, but I'll tell you how I got introduced to him, and then you can tell me. In like 2007, I was working at this restaurant in the city. Great wine list. They had some crazy wines that we wanted to get our hands on. They wouldn't sell us a bottle. We couldn't taste it, but I had like the top wine sales and I wanted to crush it. That was just always me. I always wanted to like be the best. And there were these bottles that I couldn't get my hands on. And this guy comes in one day and he's like, I know you've been looking for these wines and you can't find them, but there's this guy in New Jersey. He's on YouTube and he does these wine reviews. And one of the wines that you've been looking for is on there. So I was like, okay, what's YouTube? How do I find this? Because I was like technologically inept, man. Like I was a freelance musician working, in restaurants part-time to make ends meet. And I watched the dude. I come home one night. I got a bottle of wine. I turn it on. Gary just breaks in and my wife is like, oh my God, who is that obnoxious person? I was like, this is the best ever. And he was so unorthodox. And so I watched him for maybe like 6 months. And then not long after that, we opened our retail store, like in the wake of the real estate bubble popping. Restaurants took a hit then. So we went with where the money was, which was retail. And I always wanted to sell wine in a very unique way. And I had previously, but once I encountered him, I was like, I have my wings now. And then I got busy that was 2008. And I didn't spend any time on social really. I built it for the businesses, but I didn't really use it. I didn't use it personally. And then maybe like a year ago, a friend of mine sent me a Simon Sinek YouTube video, which was a TED Talk that he did that was really great. And I was like, oh, wow. And I watched it. And I'm not spending much time on YouTube or social media or anything, but I watched it. It was really powerful. And I'm like, great. And in the feed just below was Gary Vaynerchuk. And I was like, oh, what's my boy up to? And I clicked it and I was like, what happened? Like he's not selling wine anymore. I had no idea what had transpired. And I was like, and then I went down the rabbit hole and I was like, oh my God. And literally the reason, and I'm sure it's probably the same for you, that we're sitting here is because in that first video, he was like, if you were trying to make it, if you got businesses, you're trying to get the word out there, social, da-da-da-da. And he was like, start a podcast, cut the podcast up, do all that. And I was like, okay, how do you start a podcast? And literally, I think like a few weeks later, I was invited to be an interviewee on another show on this network on Talking Alternative Broadcasting. That just is a real estate guy also here, who does like a virtual walking tour of neighborhoods through radio. Yeah. And they were doing my neighborhood, Windsor Terrace in Brooklyn one week. And he got my information. It's like he wanted a local business owner, a guy that's like, got his ear to the rail. So I came on and next thing I know, they were like, do you want to host your own show? And I was like, man, I just heard that's a really good idea. And like, literally it was like being put in a slingshot and just like, right. And that was in September. And I just hit it. I just attacked everything, started posting to 12, 15 accounts a day, video editing. I didn't know anything. I did music, so I knew all that. So I understood the audio, but the video is all brand new. And now I'm like ripping videos. I'm a video editor all of a sudden. There's all this crazy stuff. I love it. So I saw you also, when you were on there, you had the empathy wines that you got, but then on your Facebook or somewhere you actually did like a little review of the rosé, right? So I'm gonna give you have you ever watched Gary's old show, The Wine Library? You see some of this stuff? Yeah. Okay. First thing, you need a bigger glass, my friend. You got to get a big one. This isn't even that big. I'm gonna send you some glasses. I know exactly what you need. Gary used to use these Riedel Grand Burgundy glasses that look like a fishbowl. I used to have a couple of them. I don't know where they're at now. They're easy to get. You can fit more than a bottle of wine in one glass. So when the doc's like, only one glass a day, get that big one.
Get that big one.
So that will help so what I'm doing today, this is Terrazas de los Andes Malbec from Argentina. I used to sell this at that restaurant when I worked there. Now my buddy is the wholesaler for this in New York now. And like 6 months ago, he's like, I got this great Malbec. You got to try. I was like, man, I know that Malbec. Bring it on. So now we serve this at my restaurant. So he would always, Gary would pour a little in. You got that part down. You got the swirl, but you need a big glass because you gotta swirl, man. You gotta get that stuff going. You gotta get it go. And then the sniffy sniff, you gotta get the
put the snide all in it.
You gotta have your mascot. He had one of those wrestlers. I can't remember who it was. Now this
probably
is
Ric Flair.
No, it wasn't Ric Flair. It was somebody else. Ivan the Destroyer, somebody like that. You'd have to watch. This is Mr. T. Mr. T has been overseeing my wine store since 2009. He sits up above the Italian wines and he just makes sure everything's okay. So I brought him over here today, but he's been with us for a long time and Mr. T knows what's up. So you got to get in that sniffy sniff, hardcore. The other thing you got to have a spittoon. Gary always had a spittoon.
Yes.
You got to, I know you want to drink it. I understand.
Right.
You're new. One day you'll get it because you drink all those wines, man. You can't operate. Your social gets all messed up. People are like, were you okay that day? You're like, I just didn't have my spittoon with me.
Right.
And then, of course, you got to get it in the mouth. And you got to make a sound when you spit it, man. Gary used to have, it sounded like a bullet. Bing! He had the great spittoon. And then when he talked about it, man, it was the craziest. He would be like, he's like, okay, yeah, I got it. I know exactly what this wine tastes like. You remember when you were a kid and you had that fresh Bazooka Joe bubblegum in your mouth and you were outside playing and it fell out of your mouth and it hit the dirt and you were like, but it was brand new, and you just pick it back up and you put it back in your mouth and you had the raspberry but like covered with the dirt. That's exactly what this one tastes like. That's what Gary was saying, man. And I still use stuff like that at my wine store, and people, that's the connection. That's the personal, like you were just talking about, like the real intimate, what separates you is like just getting creative, getting to be yourself.
Yes.
Do that through social media as well. So he was a big inspiration for me that way. And then just over the last like 9 months or so, I've been keeping up with what's going on with him, and it's helped tremendously currently. And I think you could probably say the same. Real quick, we just have a couple minutes left. How did he fall on your radar?
My assistant turned me on to him. And we watched at our old job, and I was like, oh my God, who is this? I love him. And we just followed and attacked social.
How long ago was that? When
this was about 5 years ago.
Okay. And when did you go to the seminar or the whatever?
I went to New Jersey. It's been 2 years. It's been about 2 years now. So when he came to Detroit, when him and his brother came to Detroit, I knew they were going to be here because they were going to the Jets were playing the Lions. So when I went over to his section, he was super nice. He was like, "Hey, cool. DJ, I know you've been following me, and I see your stuff." And I was just like,
That's
"Oh my
awesome.
God!"
Yeah.
We took the picture, and he was like, they're doing a wine seminar, and I think it was going to be October. So when I flew in, I got to really, really spend time with him. I'm in Daily V504. We got invited to the VIP part with him when he really did the tastings with you, about how to do it, what to look for, and all the other stuff. And just have really been the ultimate stalker, but he knows certain people.
I know.
I don't know. I'm just thankful that I fell on his radar.
Yeah.
Because people are always like, you really know him. And I was like, he'll know your face and he'll remember your name.
Yeah.
All
right, we gotta wrap it up. Raise your glass up, all right? Hey, thank you so much.
No,
I wish you well.
I appreciate it.
And health. And we'll talk soon, brother. Thank you.
For sure. Thank you so much.
All right, everybody. You listen to the Entrepreneurial. Have a great weekend. Peace.